Hi, this is Red Story. Subscribe and leave a comment. Let's get started. My name is Nora Caldwell, and I'm 32, living in a sunny suburb just outside of San Diego. You could say my life looks pretty good from the outside. A nice house with a terracotta roof, two cars in the driveway, and a bustling household with my husband, Henry, 35, and our son, Ethan, who's 8. Henry and I have been married for 10 years, we argued. Sure, like any couple, but we always seem to find our way back to each other. That was until 2 weeks ago when we had a fight about something so small I barely remember how it started. He said something snarky about my spending habits. I got offended, we shouted, and then we parted ways in a huff. Usually one of us apologizes within the hour, but this time he didn't. There was no sweet text saying, "Hey, I'm sorry," no gentle hug from behind. Nothing. That silence festered, and I, in my pride, refused to speak first. I'd assumed he'd come around. Days passed, each of us performing the motions, taking Ethan to school, cooking, working, without a real conversation. I know it sounds petty, but resentment can grow from the tiniest seeds, so I let it fester. And this story is about the near disaster that resentment almost caused. The grudge that wouldn't fade. It was petty, I admit, but when Henry returned from work each evening, I half expected him to realize I was still upset and try to make amends. He didn't. He was polite. Yes, he'd ask about Ethan or mention how his day at the office was, but no apology, no mention of the fight. It felt like he just swept it under the rug, and that stung me more than any harsh words he could have said. By the fourth or fifth day, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about some twisted kind of revenge. How can I get him to notice my anger, or better yet, how can I make him pay for brushing me off? An old flame appears. Right on cue, in the midst of my seething frustration, unexpected face popped into my life. Mason, my old high school boyfriend. I ran into him at the grocery store. I was picking out avocados, and there he stood, leaning in to grab a tomato, looking almost the same, maybe a bit broader, with faint lines around his eyes. He recognized me instantly, and we had that cliche moment of locking eyes over the produce. "Nora," he asked, the slow, warm grin spreading. Wow, it's been ages. I had to admit seeing him gave me a small rush, a flicker of the teenage excitement we once shared. We parted on decent terms back then, just grew apart after I left for college. "Mason, hey," I forced a casual tone. "Small world, right?" He chuckled, "Very small." We chatted for a minute, updating each other. He was married now, 2 kids in fact. I told him I was married too and also had a kid. We exchanged numbers, promising to catch up sometime. At that moment, it felt innocent, just a friendship rekindled. But soon a darker idea sprouted in my mind. Could I use this to get under Henry's skin? Then I felt a tug of guilt. Why was I thinking that way? I brushed it aside. A harsh reality. A few days passed and Mason texted me. "Mason, hey, nice seeing you again. Coffee sometime?" Part of me wanted to say no. Another part, spurred by anger at Henry, said yes, so he met at a cafe near my workplace. Nothing salacious, just reminiscing about old days, laughing about teachers who dreaded our flirting in class. I told him briefly about my marriage tension, and he listened, nodding sympathetically. Eventually, I found the nerve to fish for a reaction. I hinted, "I can't believe Henry, I guess I should admit we're in a weird spot. Sometimes I wonder if I should have ended up with you." He frowned. "Nora, you're just upset with him." Seeing him not jump at the chance to flirt stung my ego. I realized he was more sensible than me. "I know, you're right," I said quickly, laughing it off, but the idea lingered in my head. What if? The next time we texted, I half joked about how Henry was ignoring me and how maybe I should get even. Mason's reply arrived with a comedic scolding. "Mason, I'm married. I'm not sleeping with you out of your bitterness. That's crazy talk." He ended the text with a winking emoji, but the message was clear. He wasn't playing. I felt foolish. My plan to spark a fling with an old ex out of spite nipped in the bud. "All right, Nora, that's that." I told myself, stop being insane. A party invite. But the resentment remained. Henry still offered no apology. Then, in a stroke of unfortunate luck, A new opportunity arose. One of my girlfriends, Layla, invited me to a big house party downtown, a fashionable rooftop affair with a DJ, craft cocktails, influential guests from tech and design circles. Henry politely declined to join me, citing work demands. Of course, I thought with bitterness he'd rather do spreadsheets than spend time patching things up with me. So I went alone that Saturday night wearing a short black dress that showcased my legs and a new pair of stiletto heels I bought on impulse. The entire car ride had told myself it was just a party, nothing more. But deep down, I was itching for that feeling of being seen, admired, maybe even wanted by someone. The scene. The penthouse belonged to a well-known local entrepreneur, known for decadent gatherings. Neon lights bathed the expansive rooftop in a purple hue, while lounge music pulsed from corner speakers. Waiters threaded through the crowd with trays of exotic cocktails. People in chic outfits talked about product launches, brand deals, or random celebrity gossip. Layla introduced me to some new folks. Kim, a brand manager from New York, and Jared, a software developer who apparently made a fortune from an app last year. Everyone was friendly. I tried to stay casual, sipping my drink, scanning the lively clusters of people dancing near a mini dance floor. My phone occasionally buzzed with texts from Henry about random household updates, like, Hethan wants pizza for dinner, that okay? I tagged as sure and turned my phone face down, ignoring any chance of real conversation with him. The night wore on, and I felt a pleasant buzz of cocktails. Then I noticed a man across the bar who was definitely noticing me, Darren. Tall, with a crisp white shirt unbuttoned at the collar, exuding the vibe of a confident risk-taker. We locked eyes more than once. Eventually, he settled over, introduced himself with a roguish grin. Lael winked at me, drifting away to give us space. He asked about my job. I told him about my design consulting. He teased me about the party's vibe. We bantered. It was fun, light, almost like flirting with no consequence. But as the conversation deepened, we ended up in a quieter side area, near a glass railing overlooking the city. I found myself being too giggly, too physically close. A small voice inside me whispered, "You're playing with fire." But the bigger voice said, "Henry deserves this. You can't even apologize. Why not indulge a little?" From flirtation to proposition, Darren, noticing my wedding ring, asked us, "You're married, right?" I froze a second, then half laughed. "Yeah, but—" I trailed off, letting the unsaid speak for itself. He gave me a searching look. "You sure you're okay with this?" My breath caught. "Sure with what?" I feigned ignorance. He smirked, leaning in. "You're sending signals. Maybe I'm reading them wrong. But if I'm not, we could continue talking somewhere private." The directness startled me, my heart racing. Instead of shutting him down, I heard myself say, "I might be." My face flushed. "You live nearby." Darren's eyes glinted. 20 minutes away. He offered a casual shrug, but no pressure. Deep in me, something snapped. The final line of caution broke. "Let's go," I whispered, because at that moment the grudge against Henry overshadowed my common sense. Driving to regret? We left the party around midnight in Darren's sleek black sedan. My pulse hammered with adrenaline, fear, excitement, and guilt tangled. He fiddled with the radio, occasionally glancing over at me with a flirty grin. Part of me screamed, "Stop this, you're insane." Another part wanted to punish Henry by forging ahead. We arrived at Darren's place, a stylish loft in a renovated warehouse district. Exposed brick walls, modern furnishings. He poured us each a whiskey, offering a toast to an unexpected night. I took a sip, throat burning. My phone lit up with a text from Henry. "Everything okay?" You must have realized how late it was. I ignored it, dropped my phone in my purse. "Make yourself at home," Darren said, stepping closer. I forced a smile, feeling my stomach twist. I was about to commit an actual betrayal. Is that what I wanted? The bedroom tension, we ended up in his bedroom, which was impeccably tidy. A large bed with crisp white sheets, city lights glimmering through floor-to-ceiling windows. You put a hand on my waist, leaning in, my heart hammered. A swirl of excitement and dread. I kissed him, once tentatively. It felt hollow, not the rush I'd imagined. He deepened the kiss, but I couldn't reciprocate fully. My mind roared with guilt. I'm about to cheat on Henry over what? A missed apology. He started to guide me toward the bed, unzipping my dress. My mind's alarm bells blared. This was too real, too messed up. I stiffened. "Wait," I mumbled, pushing him back gently. He paused, confusion on his face. "You good?" he asked softly. I tried to speak, but my voice shook. I'm not sure if I can do this. Darren smiled, trying to be reassuring. It's okay. Relax. He resumed kissing my neck, but my body went rigid. Suddenly, panic flared. Stop, I said louder, pushing him away. He blinked, a bit annoyed. What's wrong? I can't. I breathed. I don't want to do this. His brow furrowed. Why'd you come here then? Embarrassment and anger at myself welled up. I thought I could, but I trailed off. With adrenaline spiking, I slapped him lightly, but enough to jolt him away from me. Seriously, he snapped, rubbing his cheek. I scrambled to gather my dress, yanking it back up, tears pricking my eyes. I'm sorry. I have to go. He raised his arms in frustration. Unbelievable. I didn't care. I fled the bedroom, rummaging for my purse, my hair half undone, mascara smudged. In the living room, I nearly tripped on a rug. My mind spun. What am I doing? Hey, wait, I heard him call, but I was gone out the door, down the hallway to the elevator. My reflection in the elevator's mirror was a wreck. Tears streaked, lipstick smeared, dress half zipped. I felt like a twisted tragedy. The escape and drive home. I dashed to my car. Fortunately, it had driven me, so I had to hail a rideshare. The driver gave me a puzzled glance as I slid in a messy meltdown. The entire ride, I wept softly, hating myself, hating Henry for not apologizing, hating the stupidity of it all. Back at our suburban house, I used the rear entrance, hoping Henry was asleep. Indeed, inside was dark, except for a small lamp in the living room. I glimpsed him dozing on the couch, arms folded. Guilt hammered me. If he woke up now and saw me like this, he'd know everything. I tiptoed through the kitchen to the downstairs bathroom, removing my shoes quietly, heart pounding as I listened for any sign of him stirring. I flicked on the bathroom light. In the mirror, I saw my mascara smeared, hair tangled. I looked exactly like someone who nearly had an affair and ran out. Grimacing, I washed my face thoroughly, tears mixing with soap. My chest felt tight, but relief mingled with horror. Thank God I didn't go through with it. After I composed myself, I went upstairs, changed into pajamas, and sat on my bed for a moment, trembling. The memory of that bedroom with Darren returned like a punch to the gut. How close I came. How unbelievably stupid. Morning kitchen tension. Next morning, I awoke to Henry rummaging in the kitchen, likely making breakfast for our son, Evan. Yes, our child's name is Evan, 8 years old. Ironically, the same name I'd used as Ethan earlier in my hypothetical scenario. But let's remain consistent with Evan. I guess I'd overslept after my insane night. My heart pounded as I realized I'd have to face them all. I took a quick shower, removing any final trace of last night's fiasco. Then, with forced calm, I headed downstairs. The scene was casual, bright morning sunshine streaming in. Even was at the table, eating cereal. Henry, wearing a relaxed t-shirt, was flipping pancakes. The smell of coffee comforted me, though I dreaded looking him in the eye. Hey, I said lightly, stepping in. He glanced over, not suspicious, just normal. Morning. You slept late. You must have been out partying. There was a tinge of sarcasm, but no anger. I forced a smile, my heart hammering. Yeah, it went pretty late. Mommy even piped up. Dad says we might go to the park later. Are you coming? He looked so innocent. I realized with a pang how easily I could have shattered this family if I'd gone through with that affair. I mustered a bright tone, sure sweetie. My gaze flickered to Henry, who said nothing about last night's details. Maybe he had no idea. Maybe he truly thought I just had an innocent girls' night out. Relief award with guilt in my chest. Reflection and quiet regrets. So we carried on with the day as if nothing was wrong. But inside, I was a mess, haunted by how close I'd come to betraying my marriage over something as trivial as Henry's failure to apologize for a minor fight. If he found out, or if that random man told someone, or if we lived in a world small enough that rumors might travel, everything could implode. I realized I might never get that apology from Henry about our stupid argument. At the same time, I saw how petty my grudge had been. Anger had nearly driven me to ruin everything. Was Henry perfect? No. But did I want to blow up my entire life to teach him a lesson? Absolutely not. Now, as I sit here typing out my confession, I feel compelled to say, I was wrong. So wrong. Maybe Henry should have apologized, but I should have handled it differently and with maturity communicated. Instead, I let resentment push me toward near infidelity. Epilogue, a renewed perspective. It's been a few days since the incident. My marriage remains intact. Henry still doesn't suspect anything. Part of me wonders if I owe him the truth. But if I told him, I'd devastate him, possibly lose him for good. So I hold this secret, uncertain if that's better or worse for our future. One bright spot, my perspective on our silly feud changed drastically. I see how close I came to a line I never wanted to cross. So, ironically, I've let go of my anger. I realize how minor that argument was. Now I'm focusing on being kinder to Henry, on bridging the gap we allowed to grow between us. As for the possibility that the random man might speak of me somewhere, I can only hope he's discreet. I gave him no real name, he only knew me as Nora from the party, and I left in such a hurry that maybe he won't care to chase me down. If he does, it might all blow up. I guess that's a risk I'll carry. Our daily life moves on. I attend my design job, Henry works his finance job, and we gather around the dinner table with Evan talking about his school day. Henry and I share mild banter, occasionally drift into a small spat, then laugh it off. That's marriage, I suppose. If you keep it healthy, my secret guilt lurks beneath. But I hold on to a renewed understanding. Messing around out of anger or pride can cost you more than you ever intended. If there's a moral, don't let petty resentments overshadow real communication. I nearly crossed a line that would have shattered my family. That memory of pulling away from Darren at the last second, the sting of my slap on his cheek as he tried to push the moment forward, it remains with me, a reminder of how close I got to losing everything over absolutely nothing. For now, I push on, grateful that my impulse didn't fully destroy my marriage. Maybe Henry and I will never discuss that night. Maybe I'll forever keep it buried. But at least I can say I learned a harsh lesson about letting anger and pride steer my decisions, and that might just be enough to keep me from making the same mistake again.